What's your thought on testing God? We all know stories of how God tested his people before raising them to their greatness, don't we? What's the truth behind testing God? Do you agree with it? You probably have put a test on your relationship. You did not know if truly you are the one till you posted a test that God, if she or he is the one, then he or she will come with a blah blah blah. We seek evidence, we question, we test. In the annals of biblical history, one man stands out for this very reason. Gideon, a man of humble beginnings, was chosen by God to deliver Israel from the Midianites. Plucked from obscurity, he was just an average Joe, as it were, living in fear under the oppressive rule of the Midianites. His story begins with disbelief. He questioned God's presence, asking, "If the Lord is with us, why then has all this happened to us?" It's a question that resonates with many of us today, wrestling with our own doubts and fears. Gideon's skepticism was not met with punishment, but rather with patience. God understood his fear and uncertainty. Imagine being in Gideon's shoes, being told you're destined for greatness, to free your people from tyranny. It's a lot to take in, isn't it? Gideon was no different. He questioned, he doubted, he feared, and through it all he sought proof. But Gideon wasn't ready to accept God's call without some proof. He decided to test God, asking for a sign that God truly chose him. Now Gideon was a simple man, not a prophet or a priest, but he was chosen by God for a monumental task, and in his humanness he was filled with doubt. So he thought of a test, one that involved a fleece and some dew. Gideon said to God, "I will place a wool fleece on the threshing floor. If there is dew only on the fleece and all the ground is dry, then I will know that you will save Israel by my hand, as you said." And that's exactly what happened. The next morning, Gideon wrung out a bowl full of water from the fleece while the ground around it remained dry. This was no ordinary occurrence. Dew, in this context, symbolized blessing and life. It was seen as a divine gift, an indication of God's favor. By asking for the dew to appear only on the fleece, Gideon was essentially asking God to show him a sign of his divine favor, a confirmation that he was indeed chosen. The fleece, on the other hand, represented Gideon himself. It was a common, everyday item, much like Gideon was an ordinary man. By choosing the fleece to be the receiver of the dew, Gideon was, in essence, asking God to use him, an ordinary man, to carry out his extraordinary plans. This first test was a significant turning point in Gideon's journey. It symbolized a deep-seated struggle between faith and doubt. On one hand, Gideon had faith in God, but on the other, he was plagued by self-doubt and uncertainty. This test, then, was Gideon's way of seeking reassurance, of asking God to help him overcome his doubt. But faith, as we all know, is not easily attained. Even after this miraculous sign, Gideon's doubt did not completely disappear. It was a testament to the human condition, to our constant need for reassurance and the ongoing struggle between faith and doubt. But as we'll see, Gideon's story doesn't end here. His journey, much like ours, was filled with tests, trials and triumphs. Maybe you heard someone ask that if God truly exists, then why must they undergo what they are going through? Gideon was the same. Still skeptical, he asked God for another sign. Doubt had become a constant companion for Gideon, gnawing at his faith, threatening to unravel his belief. He found himself standing on the precipice of uncertainty once again. Despite having received a sign from God through the fleece and dew, Gideon's heart was still riddled with questions. He yearned for another affirmation, another beacon of divine light to guide his path. In this hour of wavering faith, Gideon turned to God again. This time, he asked for the sign to be reversed. He requested God to keep the fleece dry, while the ground around it was to be covered with dew. This was not an act of defiance or insolence, but rather a humble plea for reassurance from a man grappling with his faith. And so, the stage was set for Gideon's second test. As dawn broke, Gideon awoke to find the world around him glistening with dew, while the fleece lay dry. The contrast was stark, a clear sign from God. Yet, it was more than just a sign. It was a testament to God's patience and understanding. God, in his infinite wisdom, did not rebuke Gideon for his repeated tests. He did not chastise him for his doubts. Instead, he understood. He understood the turmoil in Gideon's heart, the struggle between faith and fear. He understood the courage it took to ask, to question, to seek reassurance. And so he answered. He answered not just with signs, but with patience and understanding, demonstrating a divine tolerance that transcended human comprehension. The second sign was a defining moment for Gideon. It was not merely a confirmation of God's presence, but also a validation of his own faith. It taught him that it was all right to question, to seek, to doubt. It showed him that faith was not a rigid construct, but a fluid journey strewn with moments of uncertainty and affirmation. With this second sign, Gideon's faith was finally solidified. His doubts were dispelled, replaced with a newfound conviction. He had tested God, not once but twice, and God had answered not with wrath, but with patience and understanding. This was the turning point in Gideon's journey, the moment when his faith ceased to waver and stood firm. Emboldened by his newfound faith, Gideon led a small army against the Midianites. Gideon's faith, once a flicker, now burned brightly, fueling him with an unshakable resolve. His once wavering faith had transformed him into a leader of extraordinary courage, ready to face an army of thousands with a mere 300 men. The outcome was nothing short of miraculous. Against all odds, Gideon's small army triumphed over the Midianites. Their victory wasn't a testament to their strength or military prowess, but rather a testament to their unwavering faith. A faith that had been tested and solidified through Gideon's personal journey. With each test, Gideon's faith grew stronger, guiding him through the darkest valleys and leading him to the highest peaks. It was this faith that made him a beacon of hope for his people, a beacon that shone brightly, illuminating the path to victory. In the face of seemingly insurmountable odds, Gideon's faith did not falter. He stood strong, his faith acting as his shield, his conviction his sword. His victory was not his alone, but was shared by his people, who too began to believe in the power of unwavering faith. Gideon's story is a powerful reminder of the strength that lies within faith. His tests served to solidify his faith, making him a formidable leader. Through his tests and eventual faith, Gideon became a symbol of God's power and patience. His story continues to inspire, reminding us all of the power of faith and the miracles it can bring forth. So, as we reflect on Gideon's story, let us remember that our faith journeys are unique, filled with questions and tests. Let us remember that it's okay to doubt, to test, to question, but let us also remember that at the end of it all, faith is about trusting in the unseen, in the miraculous power of God. Remember, faith is a journey filled with questions and tests, but at the end of it all, it's about trusting in the unseen, in the miraculous power of God.